I hate Cyberpunk. Not the game, I haven't even touched it. But do you wanna know why? Because it looks like a future where normal average life feels impossible, and honestly, not even worth living in. So why am I telling you this? I'm glad you asked, viewer who totally just asked that. As I was looking at my typical gardening content one day, I was suddenly confronted with a video in which a woman pointed out the lack of actual art in the Solarpunk community. And yeah, she's right. Most of the content there is AI generated, and that understandably didn't sit right with people. Me included. So I thought, what the hell, I can kinda sorta draw good. Why not give it a shot? After all, bad art is better than no art. So I got to thinking and quickly settled on wanting to draw a couple of houses in the city. That is because I have grown to hate living in the city, with its lack of nature and noise pollution. My plan was to take this random image I found on Pinterest and to change it. So let's talk about that. At first I drew my perspective guidelines the way I always do to make sure everything looks right, but then I found a video on urban sketching and the guy in the video said to try drawing buildings by hand. So I did that. After all, it looked good in his drawings, so it should be fine, right? Yeah, we'll get back to that. First I drew the basic shapes of the two houses and then it was time to figure out what I needed to change. I knew that I wanted our streets to have more nature and our balconies to serve as mini gardens. That way we could depend less on grocery stores and even share amongst each other. I myself have planted things on my balcony, but that isn't much space. But if everyone was doing it, it would quickly become more and more and we could harvest and exchange things. That's why some of the windows here have vegetables planted in flower boxes. I do that too and I would suggest it to anyone, honestly. It doesn't matter if you think that you don't have a green thumb. Just get something unkillable like mint and you'll be fine. But enough about my gardening propaganda. By now you have probably noticed these little robot guys roaming around, and those serve the purpose of delivering food instead of having people do it. Because those people tend to not get paid enough. Many people hate these robots, but it's one of those technologies I don't hate. After all, Solarpunk is supposed to be a future where nature and tech can exist in harmony. And I have to admit that I have a soft spot for these guys. I think they represent what we could have if people didn't needlessly destroy things. Besides that, I also like those videos where people help them back up.
Oh shit, you're heavy. Oh buddy, come on. Ugh. There you go.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Oh my god! I didn't know it did that!
It's sweet to see how humans sometimes even have empathy towards an inanimate object. Of course, there are also videos of people destroying them, but in this version of life, in the city, people would just let them do their thing. Also, as a woman, I would rather have a robot deliver my food instead of a man that might plan something. I remember one time I ordered something with a friend, and while paying, he asked me if I was home alone today. That freaked me out, so I just said no, and didn't answer anything else. After closing the door, I realized that this guy knows where I live, and I was worried he might try to rob the place later. You know how some people scout homes before entering another time? Needless to say, I was a bit paranoid that night, but maybe that's me worrying too much? I don't know, I just had a bad gut feeling in that moment, but enough about that. In front of the house in the middle we have an honesty box where people can buy eggs and milk. Because I'm a big fan of honesty boxes, little libraries and emergency food pantries for people in need. We used to have this kind of stuff in the city, but things changed so much that it's not profitable to keep them anymore. Often people will just smash these stands or just steal everything. Makes me sad to see, but here they're still around. The little bee was added to show that they're an important part of our world and that we're doing better in this solarpunk society. And like the name says, I also needed some solar panels, which I put on the roof together with some trees. That is one of my favorite parts about this aesthetic, the fact that almost every part of the city is used effectively. One thing I didn't think about when drawing was that I put the wind turbines pretty close to the city when in reality they are usually on farmland or on other big spaces. Turns out that they are built there because of noise and big shadows that will be cast. The wind conditions are also not ideal in the city as it turns out, so just ignore that logical error in both my drawings. I'm still learning this stuff. But let's look at the end result of this drawing and see what people had to say about it on Reddit. At first I only posted this image on Reddit because I wanted to do my part in cleansing the subreddit from AI slop a little bit. It's not very good, but it's something. This is just contemporary American cities. Generic concrete 4x1s. Delivery robots owned by Silicon Valley corporations. Not enough renewables to handle electric load. Individual AC units implying no central HVAC systems. Streets still dedicated to car travel. Animal products for sale. Sparse plant life at ground level. The art style is adorable and cozy, and I'm happy to see these vibes on my feed. You do have a talent for illustration, but when it comes to imagining the future, I encourage you to dream so much bigger. So that's when I realized how deep this entire thing goes and that my little vision still has a lot of room to expand. Like the person said, we can dream bigger, and I like that. There are so many parts to this thing, and it's a little hard for a person like me to figure out. Little fruit drone is cute in a liberated future. That would be kind of cool. Little drone dude just wanders around with free food to take if you need it. Once empty, goes back and collects more. Yes, this is exactly what I wanted them to do. To serve humans and not big corporations like in the previous comment. In this future, it would be possible to live with a certain amount of robots that would make life easier. Then someone pointed out that this kinda looks like the place in Bob's Burgers, which I haven't seen yet, but they are kinda right. Love your style. The pavement is quite wide. I think it could for sure accommodate some more green patches along either side, and I wanted to get into that. I decided to make the pavement wide to accommodate for people with wheelchairs. But this person is totally right about the lack of greenery here. It's a good start, but we can go bigger. That's when I went back to drawing to make a hopefully better version. By this time, I had realized that winging the perspective wasn't a good idea, so I drew perspective lines like I normally would. And once those were done, I could focus on the things I wanted to change. First, I knew that I wanted more mini gardens on people's windowsills, so I gave them room for that. I also used a repurposed car tire as a pot and put a little free library in it. You know what those take one and put one in and exchange things you sometimes see? Or used to see if you're like me living in a bigger city. Another thing we used to have, and I think this still exists in the US, is farm stands. Once again using the honesty box system. So I put one of those into the drawing. Besides keeping the sidewalk big, I also added one of those lines for the blind you can often see in subway stations. By the way, I never understood why those are so close to the end of the platform. That always seemed kinda dangerous to me, but I kept it that way because I'm not the expert. There must be a reason, right? Turns out that people found the German flag on the greenhouse confusing, but I only put it there because it was the World Cup at that time, and by that time they were still playing. So no, this vision of the future is of course not exclusive to Germany. Another thing I felt like mentioning was the free oranges in the front. Recently I saw a TikTok in which a lady harvested the limes from a tree and ended up with a ton, which happens a lot according to her. So she put them in front of her house and people could take some for free, and I love that idea. I want to live in a neighborhood or city where everyone plants their own food, so it's not rare for people to have excess food that they can give away. I want to live in abundance, not in a greedy way, but in a way where we can make sure everyone at least has something to eat. Maybe that's a little idealistic of me to think, but I think it could be possible if people work together. There also are a few details I want to mention while you look at the end result, so here we go. First the cat, because I love when cats are just kinda hanging around in stores and other places. It just boosts the morale and cheers me up after a shitty day. I mean, you can't be mad at these guys. Then the little gecko on the wall, which was named by someone on Reddit, but they deleted their comment and I forgot the name, so feel free to name him. And what did we learn from this video? That I have no idea how things work, but at least I am now aware and I can research a few things. Here's what I want to leave you with though. Always remember that we have more control over our surroundings than we think. Sure, your neighborhood might prevent you from setting up a rain barrel like in my case, but they can't stop me from growing food on my windowsills. That also adds to how things look and makes you a little less dependent on grocery stores. Even if you're like me and you're still figuring out how to plant things on your balcony, I'm sure it will add up in the end. I hope you liked this video, and if so, maybe subscribe to see what I'll be doing next. Have a great rest of your day and take care.